Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Into the Pit. I met this wonderful guy. They call him Doc Dread, and he talks about all kinds of like scary movies and that kind of genre, which me and my family are absolutely obsessed with. I want y'all to get to know him, listen to his stories, and welcome. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, hey, Kyle, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh man, my pleasure. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Uh, I'm just hunkered down here in Pennsylvania trying to survive this virus thing, but it's given me a lot of time to watch some movies that I haven't seen in a while. So,
And I understand you have a pretty extensive collection of those movies.
uh, yeah, I probably have about 3,000. Yeah, at least 2,000 DVDs, probably.
Dang, I should have been quarantined at your house.
Come on up. There's room. We'll set up a bed for you.
You know, honestly, we can't leave right now. They just found, I think they said 4 confirmed cases of the virus here in Cedar Park, Texas. And so they have us all on lockdown. All the restaurants are closed. The only ones that are open are the drive-through, and you can't go in the lobby.
Yeah.
And like our grocery stores and Walmart and all that stuff, they have a line all the way around the building, and they're only letting 10 people in at a time. And if you have more than 10 people in a gathering, you are now subject to $1,000 fine.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the fine portion yet here in Pennsylvania, but about everything's shut down.
Yeah.
All the restaurants.
I tell you, man, if I can't get my tea at my favorite Whataburger, I don't know what I'm going to do.
So,
well, just tell us about you, where you grew up and how you got so interested in the horror genre and how you got, your Facebook and your YouTube all started.
it started a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
We had a horror host up here in Pennsylvania called Dr. Shock, and he ran out of Philadelphia, Joseph Zawizlak. And I remember being about 5 years old and just being glued to that television set, and my grandfather being very concerned that I was watching stuff that I shouldn't be seeing. and I blame Dr. Shock for turning me into the horror fan that I am today. And from there, I've always been into Halloween, dressing ups, and in horror movies. And as time progressed, I got into home haunting. It started out on the front porch, where on Halloween night, my wife and I would do a skit for the Halloweeners. And
awesome.
A lot of them were scared, but, they would timidly take the candy. And when we found out we could do that on the front porch, it sort of progressed to the backyard. And we would do 10 different scenes in a small backyard.
Uh-huh.
And as word got round, we would have 300 people on Halloween night coming through our yard.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, it was really cool. And everybody got a snack or, a little candy, and they got a scare. So, my love of Halloween and horror movies, I needed another outlet besides just one night and, watching TV by myself or just me and my wife. So I had some free time and decided to try video reviews. And the first ones were just set up in my office, which is very similar to yours with the pictures in the background. Yeah, it looks good. And
got the ghost hunters back over here.
Yeah, there they are. And
yeah.
I see Shatner there on your shoulder.
Yes, actually met him in Dallas.
So yeah, my office looked very similar to yours, and I would just do a brief 5-10 minute rundown of whether I liked a movie or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already had a YouTube channel and a Facebook group dedicated to my yard haunt, but it only had like 10-15 people who would watch it. And as time progressed, I now have almost 700 people on the Facebook group. and I think there's like 43 subscribers to my YouTube channel, but it's still growing, so that's cool.
Yeah, I have noticed that it takes a little while, but once the word gets out there, man, it can take off. I got a guy on our network that he's only been on it for about a month, and his views have already surpassed everybody else in the group. So, you never know what's going to catch on.
Yeah. So in doing these short movie reviews, I would also promote different horror hosts around the country on my Facebook group. If I saw some talent, I would like to promote it and pass it on. And I met Scott Paulson, who runs Chop Block TV and Butcher Media, and he digged what I was doing, and he asked me if he could use my stuff and if I'd be on Chop Block TV, and which is like it's a Roku channel. It's a Roku channel, and it's on Amazon Fire TV.
Oh, so, cool.
So yeah, so if you download either one of those, you can watch me 24/7, which is way too much Dr. Dread.
You can't get enough of Doc Dread, man. So, have you met Sven Gulli?
I have not met him. He doesn't do many shows outside of the Chicago area, from what I've been told or from what I've read about him. But big fan. If we're not doing anything Saturday, and if he's showing a movie that I'm not real familiar with, I definitely am in front of the TV set watching him. If we're home, chances are it's on. On a Saturday, it's on TV.
How about Elvira?
We didn't get Elvira when I was growing up. We didn't have cable TV. So, I'm aware of her movies, and she does a good job with her puns and stuff, but I've never met her.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to meet her so bad. And she still looks young.
Yeah, she does. Yes. She doesn't look like she's aged at all.
She's got that Dick Clark gene, I think.
That gene bypassed my family.
What is your favorite movie, or do you have a favorite?
That's a real tough question. Depends what time of year it is. Depends what kind of mood I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to break it down to one favorite movie, it would have to be It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart, which has nothing at all to do with the horror genre. But I'll watch that movie and I'll just bawl my eyes out. When he finds Zuzu's pedals in his pocket, that's it. The tears start going. It just opens up the floodgate. The horror genre, I go back and forth, like between Dracula 1931, Universal, and Silence of the Lambs. I think
yes.
That's my favorite modern horror movie.
That show, when I first saw it, it blew my mind. And so everyone that came out, I was like, okay, I don't even care if it's good or not. I'm buying the movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I've enjoyed all of them.
I have too. I've gone so far as to read the books, Red Dragon and The Silence of the Lambs. And so I think Anthony Hopkins he was born for that role. He just did such a good job with it.
God, I got to get him on the show. That would be so cool. You'd have to co-host.
He sounds like a really cool person. I'd like to see you get him on the show.
Yeah. So, is there something coming out that you really want to see?
I want to see The Invisible Man. I haven't seen that yet. I'm hopeful for that.
I've heard it's surpassed everything that they had dreamed of. It has like a $7 million budget, and it's probably like made maybe 5 times that or more. And I kind of like to see that myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm hearing good things about it. The one I just saw recently that I thought it was better than what it would be was Color Out of Space.
Oh, I haven't seen
Nick
that one.
Cage.
Okay, I got to catch that one.
Even if you're not, people are always on the fence about Nicolas Cage. Either they love him or they hate him. He has a style that just some people dig and some people just they can't stand it.
Oh yeah.
But he wasn't too over the top in this one. But Very good movie. Good special effects.
You know, my favorite Nicolas Cage movie, and it's not, like I say, not a horror movie, was Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
And the one that really disappointed me, but I still, for some reason, am addicted to watching it, is Ghost Rider. I thought he got a little bit over the top with the, I'm changing into the Ghost Rider.
Yeah, the first Ghost Rider, it was okay. The second Ghost Rider, I couldn't even.
Yeah, that was kind of bad.
That was bad. That was really bad. I'm a big fan of Con Air too. I think he did a decent job in Con Air.
I did
even
enjoy
with the
that.
fake accent, you know.
Oh yeah, but John Malkovich, he was the star.
No, he steals the show when he shows up in there. Yeah.
There's something about that guy. He just takes over. So who's your favorite actor in the horror genre?
Wow. I have a real soft spot for Lon Chaney Jr.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The original Wolfman, he just pulled off the sympathetic victim, even though he was the monster. He did that so well. And he played every Universal monster character. He played Dracula and Son of Dracula, and
yes.
He played the Mummy and the Frankenstein monster. And he never received a star on Hollywood Boulevard. So,
now see, that's a shame because that guy was a talent.
Yeah.
Even though the special effects back then were kind of cheesy. I mean, you know, like when they're changing and the camera will have here he is human, and then here they kind of fades off and comes back where he's got a little bit of hair, and it keeps doing more hair until he's finally covered. And even though that was nothing compared to what we see today, when I was a kid, I thought that was the most awesome thing in the world.
Yeah. He's my favorite. And I think The Wolfman's probably my second favorite Universal film. You know, fell in love with Bela because that was at an early age. That was like Dracula 31. I saw that when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So.
Oh, I can watch those old movies all the time. I think there's just something special about the older movies that, I mean, even though the special effects now are just beyond what I could ever imagine, just something about those old movies, man. Those are always the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the black and white films. Love the black and white films.
They had something to them.
So I hear you're interested in the paranormal also, that you often talk about that.
Yes, we are a paranormal investigating group, and we do just about anywhere here in Texas if we can get there. Don't charge people for our service because we got into this to help people, not to make money off of it. Some of it is people's sorrow, and it just doesn't feel right to profit off of that.
Sure.
And it's also, in a way, disrespectful to the spirits that we're trying to come in contact with. And we try our best to be as respectful as we can. And I started Into the Pit. I guess we've been doing this about 1.5 years, 2 years. The last network I was on, I want to thank them for, giving me the opportunity, but it also motivated me to start my own network because I don't like being just tied down to paranormal. I think people out there have a story to tell and, experiences in their life that they've had to overcome. And for that, I think they deserve their time, But I know you said you lived in a haunted house when you were growing up.
Well, no, it was me and my wife, when we were first together, we had rented a house off of her brother.
My apologies. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay. And before we moved in, we did a lot of the cleanup, the scraping of the wallpaper and giving everything a fresh coat of paint, cleaning up the house. And it hadn't been lived in for a little bit, but not long after we started all that, I would leave early. I would leave early for work. It would still be dark out, and my wife would sleep downstairs because she didn't feel comfortable upstairs after I left the house.
Right.
And then, things slowly build up. It started with the electricity. There was, the lights would flutter, and we were constantly having to reprogram the VCR, and that was a massive pain in the rear end.
Oh God,
And,
I remember those days.
Those. And,
it was a big deal though back then.
It was, you gotta tape your show,
and you get to watch movies at home.
Yeah,
that was that was like the greatest thing in the world. I still love VHS. I'm sorry, I do.
No, that's okay.
I still have 8 tracks too, by the way.
But it started like the electricity, and we actually had called the electric company, and they checked the line leading into the house, and it was good. And I have a cousin who's an electrician, so he checked out the inside of the house, and it was good. Then it went to like the shaking doorknobs. You'd have doorknobs that would like just jiggle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then every night it was the footsteps, and it was up the stairs, past our bedroom, down the hall, up to the attic. And it was a single house. And then you would hear somebody walking around up in the attic. Well, of course, the first couple of times that happened, I got to play Macho Man and, grab my robe and go looking for who the intruder was, and there was nobody there. And in cleaning up the house, there was a piece of tape on the 3rd attic step. And yeah, it's kind of weird. And it was the lady who had lived there wrote on it, and it said, "Dear God, I am tired and weary of this life, but I'm happy." And she signed her name underneath it, and she went by Pete. She went by the name Pete. So our ghost had a name. So we started calling her Pete whenever we saw her or heard her. Well, we didn't see her too often. It was more like shadows every now and then. You get a glimpse out of the side of the eye. But her nightly ritual of going up the steps and shuffling her feet down the hallway and going up to the attic we became so used to it, we didn't think a thing about it, Our daughter saw her. I believe she saw her. She said that a woman was standing over her crib. So we assumed that was Pete. We lived there for 3 years. And, there were some things that, her moving keys was really annoying. You're getting ready to go to work and you're yelling at each other because you swear somebody moved the keys, and normally they would end up right in the middle of the kitchen table after we'd searched the house for them.
Oh my gosh.
But her daughters had moved down to Florida, and they were coming back up to Pennsylvania, and they wanted to meet us. And they did, and we invited them inside the house to look around to see how it had changed and how we had fixed it up. And they refused to enter. They said Mother's still there, and they were terrified of her. Apparently, she was a very stern disciplinarian. So they wouldn't even set foot inside the house.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was things really got active. My brother-in-law found out he could like double his money,
right?
And he put the house up for sale, and he gave us I think it was like three months rent free, and gave us time to look for somewhere to move.
Right.
But being that we were under that pressure, of course, we're a lot of energy in the house between me and my wife. Emotional stuff, where are we going to live? What are we going to do? And I think Pete had tapped into that because she became very active at that point. Her footsteps got louder. It sounded like stuff was moving, like furniture was moving around up in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
And on March 13th, I think it was 93, I saw her. And you see the shadow stuff and the little stuff out the corner of your eye. But on that date, we were both downstairs, and I was sitting in a chair that was facing the kitchen, which there was a dining room between the living room and the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And she was standing in the kitchen doorway, and I couldn't make out her face, but there was definitely somebody there. I turned to tell my wife that Pete was standing there. My wife had fallen asleep, so I didn't say anything to her, and I looked back, and then she was gone. But she definitely was more active when we were upset about where we were going to go.
Oh, wow. She wanted you to stay.
I believe that she may have even tried to follow us.
Uh-huh.
And we prayed about it, and just wanted her to go be at peace, but not to follow us.
Wow. I had something at the old house we lived in, and then when they decided they wanted to sell it, we moved into this house that we're in right now, and we have stuff happen. And we have two kids here. One of them's like small, maybe 6, 7 years old. The other one's more like closer to 20 something. And I mean, I don't mind them being here, but I want them to be at peace. They don't do anything harmful. Hey, stay here if you want to. We've already had a medium tell us that the one kid actually is a friend of the family that got hit by a car and was killed. And after that incident, being that, one, he was like part of our family, and two, my wife and the kids, they all have abilities. And I've talked about the subject with other people. It seems like people with abilities, these entities flock to because they have somebody they know they can talk to.
My wife would be more sensitive than I am, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I had never experienced anything like Pete prior to moving in that house. But my wife's whole family, like, it runs in the family.
Okay.
They're very sensitive to the spirit world.
Right. So I want to know, what made you decide to do the YouTube?
Okay. I was in youth ministry for 18 years out at our church. And one of the young men who went through our program got a job at a radio station at a college. He was working college radio. And he started doing movie reviews on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, that looks like fun. I kind of like this. I could do that. And he said, he encouraged me. He said I should. And I went ahead and I started some of them. And part of my, I don't know, it's the hat and the sunglasses. Part of my disguise, part of my host persona. So I started doing that, and I found that if I made it a little creepy and changed some lights, and all of a sudden it was like Halloween for me. So it was an outlet for that, entertaining people in the scary fashion, and sort of a tribute to Dr. Shock, being that I took on the doctor for Dr. Dread. And
that's awesome.
My office sort of outgrew me, and I moved out to our we have a small, like, one car garage shaped like a barn. It would be good for maybe 2 horses, and that's it. They would be crowded. But I moved out there, and I took up a corner in the garage, and that's my new studio.
Sweet. Yeah. So what was the last one you did, and which one are you going to do next?
Okay, I have the Manster. That one's in the can. That one's ready to be put out on Friday. Mm-hmm. And that's one that I didn't really become aware of until, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. That one slipped by me. And the whole Japanese aspect of that movie just, it really, I don't know, it appeals to me. I like that the American is in a strange land, and it got a little bit of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing going on there, good and evil, plus monsters and mad scientists and and cages, So that one's in the can, and my next one will be Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
So I go all the way back to the 30s and do current reviews also.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, when I first watched the Blair Witch Project, my dumb ass thought, oh man, I can't believe that this is really happening, and then find out that it was just a movie. And Paranormal Activity did that to me too, and I felt like such an idiot.
You're not alone with the Blair Witch. My nephew went to go see it in the theaters, and he after he saw it, he talked to me. He was like, Uncle John, you got to see this film. These people, and there's witches, and there's little kids, and he was so excited and thought that it was real. And he had convinced his mother that it was real, and then she had convinced my wife that it was a real thing. So
it looks
of
like
course we had to go out and rent it then right away, and watch it at home. But I've been turned around in the woods a couple of times. Never like really lost, but not quite had my bearings. And just that alone, being somewhere lost, that's scary. You don't need the ghost or the witches. Just being somewhere and you don't know where you're going, how to get out.
And it's that feeling of the unknown. You don't know what you're going to run into, so your body adrenaline and everything is just so hyped up, and the stupidest things could happen, and you're like, ah! I've had that happen before. Something just, somebody accidentally kicked a can or something, and you're like, oh my God, there it is.
So I'm looking forward to doing that one. And I'm actually going to leave my studio. We have a patch of woods near the house, and I'll be filming outside.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so give it that the Blair Witch vibe,
Oh, that'd be cool. How many reviews have you done?
How many have I done? Well, since Scott started picking me up, I've been doing one a week.
Okay.
So prior to that, it was maybe one every 2 weeks. So I've only been doing this for a little bit over a year. So I probably about 49, 48 reviews that I have.
Well, I have to say, whenever I ran across your Facebook and then got on this what was it called? The scary
Dr.
stories.
Dread scary stuff.
Yes, that's it. I could join that group, and then I get to see all this cool stuff. Is that your black cat?
It is.
I have one that's wanting to get in my lap too. I'm like, no, not right now.
We actually have 3 black cats. 2 of them we inherited from my brother-in-law, and they were his babies. So three of those, and we have 1 dog.
Well, my wife and I, we both have a cat. She has a white one. It's got like 1 blue eye, 1 green eye, which she actually dreamed about having one, and I found it, and it was a rescue. And so like, got to have it. And then I had a black cat, and I had him for like 10 years. He ended up developing a liver disease, and he didn't want to have nothing to do with nobody, and he was miserable. And I took him to the vet. The vet's like, I'm sorry, there's absolutely nothing we can do for him. The only thing we can do is put him to sleep.
Right.
And of course, I cry like a baby. I'm not going to lie. If you'd have seen me, I bawled just as bad as a person can cry. And I'm like, that's it. I don't want any more cats. I don't want to be attached. Well, Georgetown is probably about 20, 30 minutes from here. And they just built a brand new shelter. I mean, this looks like a mall or something. It's huge. And so she says, let's just go check it out, because she knows how much I love animals. And we go through, and here's this tortie. She's somewhere between 4 and 6 years old. Just got her, had the shots, got fixed, everything. They had a special. It's like just as long as you give at least $1, you can get the cat, Like,
sure.
I can't do that. I gave him $25. That's fair. And but they put you in a room that's just designated for you and whatever animal you pick to see if you mix. She jumps in my lap, and she's doing all this all over my face and just loving on me. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I have to fall in love with another one? So, yeah, I brought her home, and she's actually been an emotional support animal. She can sense when I'm having an anxiety attack, and she comes and jumps in my lap, and that's what calms me down. But something about cats. How did I get on this subject? We're supposed to be talking about horror stories. Now we're talking about lovely kitty cats. But do you have any spoilers for us for your next preview, or are you going to make us wait?
No real spoilers. I hate spoilers. That was always the thing. There's a couple of things I don't like crowded theaters.
Oh yeah.
So it's not very often that I go see a movie while it's still in the theater. And I worked with a lot of guys who were younger than me, and of course that was one of the things they would throw money at, and they would want to tell me what happened in a film.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hold my ears shut and tell them no spoilers. So,
well, you know what? I feel like Disney and Marvel. I should just give them any money that I get. I'm gonna throw it every time a Marvel movie comes out. I got to go watch it. If it's Star Wars, I got to go watch it. I'm sorry, I just got to be there.
I hate to say this. I think I gave up on Star Wars.
Did you?
I think I did. The last one I saw was the prequel.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, the Phantom Menace. They have the Phantom Menace, and then there was the Attack of the Clones. And...
No. It's farther on. It's where they actually get the plans for the Death Star.
Oh, Rogue One.
And that was an awesome movie.
I loved it. I thought it was.
I love that more than Phantom Menace or.
I hated those.
Or but I haven't seen the latest one yet, so I'm not. Yeah, maybe I'll catch up to it.
I'm gonna tell you what, the last one they made I thought was a really good movie. It's more advanced than the rest of them, I thought. But my wife, she started crying right at the end, and I'm like, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "I feel like my childhood is over now. This was the last Star Wars movie."
Oh, okay, yeah.
But Rogue One, I have to say, the way they ended it, and these people were heroes, and these people died off and everything. I was like, okay, now that's the way to end the movie.
It was the perfect ending to a Star Wars movie. I had just heard about my brain's not working. Princess Leia's death. I had just heard about her passing, probably 2 days prior to seeing Rogue One. And when they showed up with, at the end of the movie, when she showed up just a little bit, a little tear trickled down.
But the first one, or should I say, Episode 4, A New Hope.
Yeah.
I can't seem to watch that enough, But if you go back to the prequels before all that,
right,
I think Jar Jar should have died right away. I cannot stand Jar Jar.
That was the only redeeming. If they would have done that, they would have redeemed themselves.
Jar Jar sucks. Jar Jar sucks. Death to Jar Jar.
I'm a big Marvel fan too, and I'm really looking forward to Black Widow. The trailer for that looked awesome.
I love the fact that they have empowered women in these movies, but without getting to like a political, I guess you'd say. They're just part of the team.
Right.
But they're strong and they can be independent, and that's so appealing, I have to say I was disappointed with Captain Marvel. I just can't stand Brie Larson. I think she ruined it for me.
Sometimes actors need to just tone it down a little bit, maybe not involve themselves so much in politics.
That's my problem. Leave the politics out of it.
I just recently, Chris Evans made some statements, and I really like the movies, and I don't want to be down on the actors because they feel one way or another. It's conflicting, I guess.
I understand you have your own belief, and everybody should be, everybody should have their own opinion. They have
Sure,
that right.
of course.
I just don't think you should blend it in with the celebrity, because now you've isolated some of your fans. And I watched Chris Evans, and I think he was wonderful as Captain America, but sometimes I just look at him, I'm like, oh, dude, you ruined it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, maybe it's me being selfish, because when I look at him now, I don't see the Captain America that I love. I see Chris Evans. The same thing with like Robert De Niro, who's been in so many movies.
Oh my God.
And
yes.
he's awesome. It's like Ronan is like one of my favorite Robert De Niro films. That, Taxi Driver and,
yes.
Cape Fear. But when I see him angry about politics more, now more than I see him as those characters that I, appreciate.
Yeah, man, that's been my philosophy. You follow me on Facebook, that I'm a very conservative type of person, even though, I'm like Ted Nugent, I've had conservative ideal, but I still want the long hair and rock and roll and all that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do believe you have to have one side that doesn't think the same way, so you can come to a compromise.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so too. I think all of us have more in common, no matter how far apart we actually think we are. That we have a lot of common interests. And if we could just stop involving names and start learning about each other, and sit down and have a rational conversation about what you believe and why you believe it, I think that would be healthy.
I do too.
To just say, well, as we said earlier, you had talked about Eagles fans or a fan of the Eagles. If we just sat down and didn't mention the Cowboys or the Eagles, we get along great. but if we could put the names of politics aside, I'm sure we could have a lot more in common. Just,
Yeah. And I'm not going to say the way I believe is perfect. I'm sure there's a few things that I could change my way of thinking. And I have tried to do that through the years. I'm a stubborn jackass. I won't lie. But being with my wife that I have now, and she's kind of teaching me to kind of let go a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, you know what? I'm not getting on Facebook and arguing with people anymore. It's pointless. The media, I feel, is trying to put a wedge between everyone, and everybody's at odds. And come on, hey, you like Marvel, I like Marvel. Let's go see a movie together. Let's leave the politics out of it.
Let's leave the politics at home. Sure.
Let's be friends. What's
exactly
wrong with that? I think then this world needs to change its way of thinking, and they need to start thinking more about the other person. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. And I try to leave the politics out of my shows. I don't mind talking like this, because we're not saying, okay, this is me and this is what I believe. I don't want that, but I'm with you. We all need to be able to sit down and have a rational conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's my philosophy. My icebreaker with people is oftentimes just movies, because you'll find I'm such a big movie fan that it doesn't have to be in my favorite genre, but if I can get somebody talking about a movie that they like, that we've both seen, and my old job, I used to have to escort truck drivers in and out of a nuclear power plant. So I was security there, and you're always I'm an introvert at heart, honestly, and I just don't know why. I have a passion to entertain, but it's like I'm somebody else. I can step outside of the introvert that I am.
That's what I love.
Sitting in a truck with somebody for 6 hours while they're waiting to get their load dropped off, you have to learn how to converse with people.
Exactly.
So if I'm not talking about movies with them, it's about animals. I found that, you know, you can get an animal story out of anybody, whether it's a
Yeah.
pet or whether they're a sportsman and they like to hunt.
Well, you know, just like with sports, people got their favorite teams, and that brings people together. It's like, okay, we have something common here. We're very passionate about, and you have togetherness. I think films does that too. You know, just like
Yeah,
you said, you can sit down and you can watch a movie, and like you might be left, you might be right, but it's a movie. Let's enjoy it. We have something in common. Let's be able to get along.
yeah.
And
So,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's, I was just gonna say, do you have a favorite horror movie, Kyle?
Man, the horror movie. I will tell you what. It might be a corny one, but one that scared me the most was the Trilogy of Terror. And you remember the little doll that
I
come to
can never
life?
forget that little doll.
To this day, it haunts me. And if nobody's ever seen it, watch it. It is freaking nuts. But I
I'll
loved
tell you
it.
what, just for you, I'm going to probably stream that tonight, and right after Blair Witch, I'll work on a review of the Trilogy of Terror.
Mention real quick. Do you keep up with like some of the ghost shows on like Travel Channel?
I have I cut the cable,
Uh huh.
so only if I actually go out and seek them to stream them, do I catch them. I used to watch Ghost Hunters that when it was on Sci-Fi,
Favorite show.
and I liked the chemistry between the two Roto Rooter guys. I
Yeah.
can't Steve and
It was Jason and Grant.
that's it. Thank you, and I enjoyed them going back and forth so much more than what they were actually doing. They were very entertaining. They had a good chemistry together, and then their technical guy who's still doing it, he
Steve.
was good also. That was Steve,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah. Steve's a nice guy. I've met him. He's kind of got a weird way of thinking, but he's a nice guy. And Dave Tango that works with them,
yes,
he's super nice. I really loved him. But the one guy that I thought was the corniest on the show that I didn't really like, and I met him in person, and now I just love him to death, is Dustin Party. Now, Dustin is a big advocate when it comes to like people with depression, or with suicidal thoughts and things like that. So he really gets out there and tries to help people. And these guys, they don't just go hunt ghosts and then do their 9 to 5. They do their shows, but they also have a passion for certain things and they put their heart into it. So, give them praise. That's something we want to do too. Like to help the mentally challenged, whatever the political correctness is of it. But, being that we have a family member that's, mentally challenged, but a sweetheart, but they need friends, and it's hard for them to make friends because
yeah,
people treat them so different. I mean, people are nice to him, but I have a friend. Her name is Crystal Starr, and she was on Lego Masters, but she got cut off the show, so I quit watching. But she works with the mentally challenged and the adults, and she does art projects. They build Lego stuff, and I want to be a part of that too.
yeah. It takes somebody with a huge heart and a lot of patience to actually
Yeah.
do that for a living. It's different if it's a blood relative. My daughter works at it's a reform school as a
Mhm.
teacher. It's a reform school for boys, but she deals with a lot of boys who have depression and have they're mentally challenged.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I could do it in that environment, especially. But
They just want to be treated like everyone else.
yeah,
And so when he comes over to visit or we go see him, the first time that I met him is actually my wife's cousin. He, she would just give him hell the whole time, And I'm like, how can you be so mean? And she goes, you don't understand. That's the banter we have back and forth. And he loves it. And
Yeah.
so I started doing it, and now he calls me all the time so I can give him a hard time. But I think we should take our platform and be able to, whatever the issue is that you want to address, like, with animals and getting them into good homes and things like that. And like what I was saying, we got into this to not only entertain but inform. But I would love to get to that point where people start listening and they say, can you help out in this situation? So, man, we keep getting off of the subject, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Have you seen the new Terminator movie? Dark Fate. Dark Fate.
Dark Fate. No, I have not seen that. I'm up to Genesis though.
Okay.
I've seen Terminator Genesis.
I won't tell you what happened in the movie, but I thought at first I had very low expectations. Ended up being a great movie. There's a lady that they sent back to the past, and I apologize to her. I can't remember her name, but I feel she should be Captain Marvel.
Now see, now my interest is piqued. I need to watch that movie now.
Yes, watch it, and when you see her and you see how she's I keep coming back to that word, but she's so empowered, and she's got a mission. She's going to stick to it, and she knows how to fight and all the moves and everything. I'm like, God, this woman should be Captain Marvel.
I don't know what to say. I can't.
You got to just say watch it, and when you see it, I want you to call me and tell me if you don't feel the same way.
Okay, I will do that.
Favorite movie? I'll give you my favorite movie real quick. Easy one. Okay. Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I remember seeing that in the theater, and
me too.
After I walked out, I just felt like I could do anything. I could go knock down the biggest Nazi. I could go rob some tombs and have I could hop on a horse.
Oh gosh, I love that movie. I would try to find something to wear that was as close as I could get to Indiana Jones, and then I would have like maybe a football or something stupid like that. It was supposed to be the idol, and then I'd act like I was running from the giant boulder and all that stuff. I just love that movie. And Harrison Ford is the bomb, man.
Yeah.
Blade Runner.
I left the theater, and I felt awesome after I saw it. And then the only other movie that I really know that made me feel that way was Road Warrior, the second Mad Max movie. Mm-hmm. I left there and just I felt like I could be Max.
Dude, when we were kids, I had to be Tarzan and had to be Batman. My grandmother would get a clothespin and she would tie a towel around my neck so I'd have my cape,
I'm a huge Batman fan, and when I was little, my grandmother was having a yard sale, and she had a blue shower curtain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she wanted like a quarter for it, so I reached in my pocket and I made myself a Batman cape, and I wore that shower curtain. I wore that shower curtain for about 2 weeks.
Oh my God, those were the days, man. Those were the days. What was it? I think I played like I was the Lone Ranger for a while. Those were just my favorites, but I love horror movies. I really do. But my youngest son, when he was real little, he begged me and begged me and begged me for all of the Freddy Krueger movies. I mean, I guess he was like maybe 6 or 7 years old, and he watched those stinking movies over and over and over. I'm like, son, but the first time I ever saw it in theaters, the first one, that actually scared me.
Yeah. Yeah, Freddy's scary. Freddy's badass.
All right, Freddy or Jason, who's going to be the one to really win? Because I don't think the movie didn't really tell me.
Nah. I'm going to go with Freddy. Jason's more like a force of nature. There's nothing behind that hockey mask. He's like a tornado. You don't know where he's going to land.
And Jason Michael Myers.
I would like to see that battle.
That would be a good one. I think it really would. Yeah, you know the mask that Mike Myers wore was actually William Shatner.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
I've probably seen the original Halloween more than any other film. We watch it, of course, every year at Halloween, and then normally sometime throughout the year before that. So my wife will sit on the sofa with me, and we'll just trade lines back and forth. Before they show up on the screen, we'll talk about Lester. We know all the characters' names. We'll talk about Lester, the German Shepherd, and about No Keys for My Paul that Annie's singing while she's making popcorn. So,
the guy, man, I forget which one, but one of the guys that played played Michael Myers, he actually reached back to me and said he wanted to do the show, but he wants to do it on Halloween.
So that's cool.
So I'm like, okay, we got to do that. We got to do that.
Was it the guy from the original movie?
No, it was one of the older ones. I mean,
not
the older, the ones afterwards. And I can't remember. I thought all the actors that played Michael Myers did a good job.
Yeah, I thought they did a decent job. The one who ends up doing more conventions and more public stuff would be Nick Castle. And he was.
I think that's who it is. In fact, you keep telling me the story. I'm going to make sure that that's who it was, but I believe you're right.
Yeah. And there was another actor who played Michael in the same movie. And I think he was used for the close-ups because when he's unmasked, when he's upstairs, they wanted somebody who looked different than Nick. So they used Tom Moran, I believe his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I did meet him. And he was in, like, the final reel of Halloween. He was the guy who was upstairs. And heck of a nice guy.
What was Nick's last name?
He's the brother to Jody from Happy Days. Aaron.
No way.
Yes.
What was Nick's last name again?
Castle,
that's right.
Castle.
Okay. Nope, that wasn't him. It was another guy. I kept the message, and I've been meaning to go back to it, but God bless America. I'll look for it when I get done. I don't want to waste time. We keep going this way, that way. I love it, though. I love it. I love the fact that we can talk about anything. And that's who you are, and that's what we look for when we talk to people.
Thank you. Hey, I noticed we're getting close to your hour. I don't want to run too far over.
Hey, you know what? I just saw it, and yes, we believe it or not, our hour is up. But before we go, I want you to tell everyone how they can get a hold of you on social media and YouTube so they can get there and see everything.
Sure. They can check me out on YouTube. You can search John, Dr. Dread, and that would be the abbreviated Dr. DR. John, Dr. Dread Murray, and that'll give you my YouTube channel. Or you can search me out on Facebook. I'm Dr. Dread's Scary Stuff. That's my group. And if either of those are too difficult, you can always go pound Dr. Dread Reviews and search that way, and I'll pop up somewhere on the internet. I'll be in there.
Well, I encourage everyone that's listening, go to YouTube and subscribe to his channel because you will be entertained. And that's what we're here for. We're trying to entertain people. And I'm going to have to say, sometimes I see your pictures and I think, oh my God, I'm looking at Aleister Crowley.
No animal sacrifices here, Kyle. None.
Man, thank you so much for being a part of this show. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope everyone out there enjoyed it. We kind of went this way and that way, but hey, that just means it's real, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And I wanted to extend an invitation to you. If you're ever up this way, maybe we can go out to Gettysburg, and I'll show you where I found my most haunted spot up there.
I definitely want to get there, but you have to take me to Scranton because I just have to go to Scranton. Yeah.
Are you looking for Dunder? Yeah, I love that shirt.
I have the underwear and I have the pajamas, the whole 9 yards. My family, that's what they did for me for Christmas this year. I got all kinds of Dunder Mifflin stuff, and I'm like, oh, this when I got the Dwight shirt, I'm like, oh my God. My life is perfect. But anyway, everybody check out Doc Dredd. You can see he's a wonderful person. And I appreciate that you answered me and you agreed to come do the show. And you are welcome back on our show anytime. You got something new going on, give me a ring and say, hey, can I promote this? And you got it, man.
Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure. You're very easy to talk to. I enjoyed this.
Well, thank you so much. And everyone, please check out all of our great shows and get on YouTube and subscribe to ours, the Vibes Broadcast Network, and you'll see some great interviews. Thank you again, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Go boy.